I go through it. The thing is, you're pretty experienced, right? So, you know,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did
For the
sales
most part,
before.
I had many years of sales
Yeah.
experience. Yeah, so, but it's okay, man. Just start off where you normally start off with somebody, and we'll go through it just like I'm a beginner, you know, because I want to learn everything from scratch what you're doing, and I want to use this video to help train people from, you know, more of my team members in the future as well. So it's fine.
Hell yeah, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Feel free to use it any way that you want.
Cool.
So we can start off with just a basic concept. So let me just get my screen. All right, so let's practice the screen share. I'm going to share screen now.
Yep.
My screen share. All right, let me know if you can see what's going on here.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and hop into it. So we're going to start off with just a basic definition of impulse. All right. So, oh, here, cool. Okay. So we're going to go off with impulse sales, right? So impulse is defined by the customer's desire to sign up, right? So as a customer and as I interact with them, their impulse should be getting higher and higher and higher, right? So this whole concept of sales, this whole kind of style of sales is specifically designed to have the customer sign up right then, right? This isn't like necessarily a 6-month, you know, you meet the person for dinner, you have drinks, you go out, and blah. And then finally they buy something from you. Like, this isn't that style of sales, right? This is like, hey, I met you. This is a good thing for you. I want you to buy it right now. And then they should buy it right now, right? So impulse is the customer's desire to sign up. So I want to raise their impulse, and the more the conversation progresses, the more the customer should get impulse. Is that clear so far?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very good. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go over just the basic system, and then I'm going to kind of introduce it within a kind of a photo so that you have a basic idea of how it applies. But first, we're going to just introduce the basic topic. So what we're learning today are the 4s, the 5s, and the 8s, right? So what these are the 4 factors. You can see the writing on the screen, all right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. 4 factors of impulse, the 5 steps to a great conversation, and the 8 great work habits. Okay. So how this came about. So really, this whole sales process was developed from a company where the owners were going into Walmart and buying stuff on clearance, and then going into the parking lot of that Walmart and selling those products in the trunk of their car. So that was how this whole business model originated, right? And eventually they moved up to selling like coupons door to door, like go to a steak dinner, get a free potato, that sort of thing. And then eventually it led up to, you know, hundreds, I'd say maybe even, you know, 800, 900 offices across the U.S. and across the world that are teaching management training. So they're teaching people how to become managers, and this is the core system that they use. So myself personally, I've taught easily thousands of people, definitely 10,000 hours plus of training involved. I mean, I've done backwards, forwards, left, right. I've trained people who have no sales experience, up to people who have lots of sales experience like yourself, right? So I've ran the gambit of all types of people, college grads, old people, young people, everybody, right? So if you can walk and you can talk, then somebody can do this sort of system. It's very easy, it's very simple. So let's start off with the 4 factors of impulse. So you can imagine that these are like bullets in your gun. So these are like things that you can use while you're conversating, while you're talking, that you can use to raise the customer's impulse, right? So they're little bullets that you have in your pocket, and you just take them out and you can sprinkle them on top. So they're something that you interweave within your conversation. So the 4s are, number 1 is, it's an acronym, so fear of, go 1 there, fear of loss. So this one is very straightforward. Everyone wants what they can't have. So I was just watching, you've seen the movie The Social Network, right? Like with Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook thing. So I was watching it last night, with my girlfriend. One of the big things that came out was like, when it first started, it was exclusive, right? Only members of Harvard were able to be a member of the Facebook at that time, right? So fear of loss, it's if I can't have it, I want it. So I could tell you this thing is really great, but it's actually not for you. And immediately, like, well, why isn't it for me? Why can't I have this thing, right? So you want it a little bit more. So fear of loss. Everyone wants what they can't have. Number two is sense of urgency. So when I'm talking with a client, I'm talking with a customer, I want to value their time, right? So I'm not, keeping it short and simple with my sentences and with my phrases. And I'm also just keeping it very clear and very direct. And I'm valuing their time as much as my own, right? So I'm not going to waste their time. And they know that I'm the type of person that is not going to waste my own time. So I have a sense about myself. I'm urgent with my behavior. And more importantly, really the key point here is I'm just valuing the customer's time. Number three is Jones effect, right? So very similar to the first one in the way that everybody wants what everybody else has, right? So I'm going to constantly name drop other customers I worked with throughout that day or other people that signed up for my product or service, right? So I'm going to constantly, as much as possible, mention other people that I worked with so that the customer knows that, this other person also has service, right? So the last one is indifference. And this one is really, really critical. This is acting the opposite of a salesperson. So what that means is, I might say something like this. Okay, so this watch is very good for you. It's top of the line. We only have 3 more in stock, so I recommend taking advantage of purchasing it today. Joe next door, he recently just got one of these watches, and he really loves it. I mean, he raves about it all the time. He sends pictures on Instagram. It's crazy. He really loves this thing. So like I said, we only have 2 left. I recommend you buy it now. So let's go ahead and get that started for you. So how would you like to pay today, with cash or credit? Right, so you recognize there, I'm very indifferent. I'm acting the opposite of a salesperson. I'm just putting it out in front of you and saying, hey, this is the best thing for you, right? This is a good thing for you. It's great for you. But if you want to buy it, you can. If you don't want to buy it, that's great too, right? But I'm telling you this is why it's good for you and this is how it helps you. But I'm very indifferent about them making the purchase or not. And some salespeople, right, will be nervous about how you want them to buy, right? But I don't want that person to buy. My goal as a salesperson is to see and talk to as many people as possible and to find the ones who want to sign up, not to necessarily convince the ones who don't want to sign up, right? So I'm just trying to find the ones who are waiting for me to walk into their door or waiting for me to call them. And that's my mindset. So that allows me to be very indifferent. If this person isn't the one who's going to buy, that's great. I'll find the person who will. So I don't really have any pressure, or I'm not that kind of typical, fly on the wall, or, for example, the kind of buzzing fly in the person's face, bothering them, right? I'm very indifferent. This is just the best thing for them. If you want to buy it, that's great. If not, great too. No worries. So those are the 4 factors of impulse. Do you see how those kind of play a role so far?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So they're very simple and straightforward. So I'm going to, throughout my conversation, I'm going to constantly weave these in. I'm going to just drop them. Fear of loss, sense of urgency, Jones effect. My general demeanor is indifference. I'm just indifferent, So every time I throw one of these little bullets out, it's just going to raise that customer's impulse, which is their desire to sign up or buy, right? So the whole point of this conversation is, as the conversation progresses, as I drop these little things in, their desire to sign up or buy is increased, aka their impulse is increased. Just to explain the term again. So now we'll go into the 5 steps to a great conversation. So the 4, again, we weave into the conversation, and then the 5s are going to be the actual 5 steps. Let me get a good pen size. Maybe 3. Change this one. 1. 1 to be a little bigger. That's fine. Okay, so let's go here. So this is what I will call the impulse curve. Should be a little, there we go. Okay, so this is what we'll call the impulse curve. So this is just a visual representation of the customer's impulse. So we start here, and this is going to be the customer's flat line. So this is just where they are on a normal basis, right? Just living their life, whether they're at their house or whether they're on, hanging out or whatever they're doing. This is just them living their life normally, right? So you'll put right here, we're going to put a little bing. All right. Very good. And that's going to be step 1. So step 1 is going to be introduction. So this is step 1 of the 5 steps to a great conversation. Step 1 is introduction. And you'll notice that the customer's impulse actually gets decreased. You'll see here, right? So as soon as you walk in the door, or as soon as you get them on the phone, or however you interact with them, right? Their immediate reaction is going to be de-impulse, right? Because their skepticism comes up. Well, who is this person? What are they doing? What's going on here? I don't want to talk to this person like that, right? So we use step 1 in order to just alleviate that a little bit. And it's very simple acronym here. Smile. We use our C factors. So smile, eye contact, enthusiasm, right? So in my case, I was doing door-to-door sales. So I was walking in with a badge, a binder, suit and a tie, right? So I'd walk in, give a big smile, make direct eye contact, and have enthusiasm, right, as in speaking. Enthusiasm. So the customer, they will feel that when I walk in, right? They're going to know, oh, this person is trustworthy, and they're confident. They immediately are going to feel that from me the second that I walk in. And then the second thing I'm going to use are icebreakers, right? So I'm not going to be too complicated here. Very simple, very straightforward. Let's say I walk into a bakery shop, right? Oh, it smells great in here. Or it's a Monday. I call someone on the phone. Hey, happy Monday. How you doing? Right? It doesn't be corny. It doesn't have to be cheesy. It just should be whatever that person's general style is. But I want to say something to break the ice, right? I want to have some sort of icebreaker, just something to start the conversation off to go along with this, right? Now, at this point, the customer's impulse is going to start to raise a little bit, right? You got past, like in my case, I got past the initial, like, get the F out of my business part, right? I got past the initial rejection, and we're working our way up the curve here. So, step 2 is going to be right here. Just a little bit farther up. Step 2 is short story. So at this point, the point and the purpose of the short story, there's 2 main purposes. Yeah. Number 1 is build rapport. Number 2, reduce skepticism, right? So every person, as soon as you walk in, or as soon as you call, or as soon as you interact, whether it's a client, potential client, or potential customer, whatever it is, they're going to be skeptical, right? Just naturally. So I want to build some rapport in order to reduce their skepticism. So maybe you've heard the expression like birds of a feather flock together, or people who are like each other tend to like each other. So as soon as I can build some common rapport with this individual, they're going to lower their wall, right? They're going to become less skeptical as we build more rapport. And it doesn't have to be like a 20-minute conversation. It could be even 2 or 3 minutes long, but I'm working working to build a connection with that person. So you notice here, at this point, I haven't even introduced the product, right? I haven't even discussed it. Nothing about the product has come up. I'm just introducing myself, building some rapport, and then I'm going to get into step 3, okay? Now, step 3 is where I'm actually going to present the product. So step 3 is presenting. And the main things about the presentation are to sizzle the deal and paint a clear picture. So obviously you've heard the expression of like sizzle, sell the sizzle, not the steak, right? So people want to have a good idea, and I'll give you just a basic example. I mean, it's a really common example, but you could say, okay, so I went to the coffee shop, I went to the, what's the steak place? I went to the restaurant and I ordered a steak. Okay, so that's great. Or I went to the restaurant and I ordered a 12-ounce ribeye and got it like fajitas with green peppers. When the waiter, he brought out the item, you could see butter just drizzling off the steak, and you could see the pepper and the water, and just even the smell as he carried that tray through the restaurant. It just wafted into everyone's nostrils, and immediately at that moment, everyone just became overwhelmed with hunger, right? And you can just paint a clear picture for that customer about the value of this product, right, or this service. So I'm going to sizzle the deal, I'm going to sell the sizzle, and I'm going to paint a picture. So to give you a real-life example, the sales work that I was doing before was like telecom, right? So I'd walk in a business, I was selling a Fortune 50 telecom client. So I'd have to explain to them the value of the product or service. So maybe they don't have internet in their cafe, right? So I have to explain to them, well, look, by putting Wi-Fi in here, the people are going to buy their stuff, right? They're going to stay, they're going to buy a slice of pizza, they're going to stay, they're going to buy a soda, they're going to buy a cup of coffee, they're going to stay for longer. And that's going to translate into more money for you. So here you're adding, $20 or $30 more per month to your bill, but this is what it's going to translate into as an increased revenue. So I'd have to explain the value of investing in the person's business, right? So that is just one idea with the presentation, but you get the point, right?
Right.
Perfect. Okay. So now let's move on. So during the presentation, so this line here is going to be, it's supposed to be straight, but so this line here is the buy or buy line. So if I try to close the deal underneath this line, remember this represents the customer's impulse. So if I try to close below this line, they're going to say buy. But if I close above this line, then they're going to buy. Right? So this is the customer's buy or buy line. And what we'll put here is step 4 is close. So the most 2 important things about the close: number 1, take control, and number 2, assume the sale. Now, let me give you just a good example of when I was working in that previous job, what this kind of translates into, what this actually means. So I'll give you a quick example of like a mock presentation and a mock close. So after reviewing your account, realize that you're actually on the older package. So we're going to go ahead and put you on the new package. That package is going to include Wi-Fi, or it's going to upgrade you from DSL to fiber. It's going to be additional $50 a month. That will allow you to get about 4 to 5 more customers per month, which will translate into an additional $200 in revenue per month. So I'm going to go ahead and get this taken care of for you. Just go ahead and sit back, and I will come back and let you know when I'm finished for 2 confirmation calls and a signature. And then I turn around and walk away. Now, if the customer has some objection, or if they have some reason why they don't want to do it, they're going to stop me, right? Oh, no, whoa, hold on, how much more? What is this? They're going to stop me, right? They're going to say something or give me some objection. And then at that time, I have the opportunity to overturn their objection and then go right back into the close, right? And hopefully hopefully I built enough rapport with the customer that it's not bothering them. We already have a connection. I'm just being diligent. I'm just taking control, and I'm assuming the sale, right? I know it's the best for them, and I'm acting as a consultant for them, right? I know this is the best package. I'm the expert. This is the best product or service. So I'm taking care of for you. No big deal. Go ahead and go back to what you're doing. I'll come and grab you when I'm done for 2 initials and a confirmation phone call. Just hang tight, and then walk away. So I'm not asking them if they want to sign up. I'm telling them this is the best thing for them, and just taking care of it. Very simple, very straightforward, right? So the 5th step is close. I'm sorry, the 5th step is rehash. 4th step is close, and the 5th step is rehash. And this one is an acronym, rehash, and that just stands for, remember, everyone has a sale hidden. So this is just upselling, right? So I've already closed them on something. I've already closed them on, in my example, I was selling a lot of telecom. So I've already sold them on adding a TV to their wait area, right? They have to get the TV service. So now I might recommend, oh, so now that you have the TV, you got to get NFL Sunday ticket, right? Like you got to have the football game. You know, you got to get at least got to get the Lakers. You got to get the basketball in there. Get something going on. So I'm going to upsell other products. They don't have to be directly related in that story, in that case, but I'm just going to recommend other stuff. I'm going to upsell them to other things that might fill their need, right? So those are the 4s and the 5s. So the 5s are the bulk of the conversation, right? And you'll notice that all we're doing is taking like a basic conversation that anyone would have, and we're translating it and doing it again and again. Like, for example, if I met a friend for coffee, right? Like, hey, what's going on, man? So we'll go through the steps. Hey, how you doing? Smile. Happy to meet my friend. How's your day been? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, what's going on with you? What's going on? Oh, that's cool, man. You did that, that, and that. Oh, cool, okay. So anyway, we met to talk about this thing. So what do you think about this thing? Oh, cool, cool. All right, cool. All right, so let's meet next week again. All right, cool, awesome. Great. Okay, so talk to you later. Bye-bye. You notice that as humans, this is just how we communicate, right? We introduce, we have a short story, we present something, we close on some topic, and then we introduce a new topic or we upsell. This is just how we communicate as humans, and it's very natural. So when you're talking with a customer and you're following these steps, the customer doesn't feel any stress. They don't feel any pressure. It feels very natural, and that's why it's so effective. So obviously integrity, right? Whoever's listening, you know, they have to have integrity. You want to sell something somebody doesn't actually want or need. But so while I'm doing the 5 steps, I'm also filtering in and dropping in those 4 factors. You see what I'm saying? So during my presentation, I'm going to mention, or during my short story, I'm going to mention other people that I worked with. I'm going to express, oh, I know your time is very valuable. Mine is too. I'm going to drop these things in within 5 steps. So that's how 4 factors weave into the 5 steps. So far, so good. Any questions?
Yeah, so far, so good.
Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and hop down. Is this like a mine? Okay, so now we're going to hop down to the 8 great work habits. And remember, what I was doing before was a management training program, right? So sales was just kind of the basic for entry level, just to learn how to sell, because you can't really be a business owner if you can't sell. Like, you can't manage. You have to make sales. It's just part of the process. It's the nature of business. So in order to be a manager, we had to have the sales part, and then we have the 8 great work habits. So these are things that we can do to work greatly or work well. 8 great work habits. Cool. So number 1, being on. Super key, right? I go to a business meeting, I'm late for the meeting, and people are like, what the hell's going on? This person's late, but it doesn't look well, right? Great work habit. Number 2, be prepared, right? So if I go to the meeting, I don't have my documents in order, I don't have my paperwork ready, I don't have all my stuff put together, people immediately are going to be like, well, this guy's not, you know, especially if I was a team leader as a manager, right? So I'm managing a team of 14 guys. I have to run a meeting that morning. I don't have it prepared. I'm not going to run a team for very long. Number 3 is work a full day. right? So especially in sales, like if you're teaching people how to do sales, you might, somebody in the beginning, they might see 100 customers when they're first starting out before they get one person to buy. So they really have to work a full day to get that experience, because that person's out there waiting for them. But if they don't work a full day, they're not going to meet that person. So some people work like 2 hours, 3 hours. They go sit in their car for a few hours, and they're not really working a full day, and they come back, it doesn't work. Well, if they didn't work a full day, right? So number 4 is work territory correctly. And the way this translates, or what this means, is that when you're a salesperson, you should have some leads, right? Whether you have leads or don't have leads, you have, whether they're colds or they're hot leads or whatever, you have some people that you're going to talk to. So you should have some system in how to work those leads, right? In my case, I had a territory. So I had like the outward canvassing. So I had a map. So we had to be tight to the right, every door, every floor, top to bottom. Walk into an office building, go to the top floor, hit first building I walk into, tight to the right, every door, every floor, right? So I'd work my way down, right, all the way down. And there's a system that I would work. So you want to have that system and just follow it, whatever it is. You know, every industry might be a little bit different. Canvassing is different than phone calling, right? Number 5 is, and this one I think is probably the most important and the most difficult for a new person, is have and maintain a positive attitude, right? How, like, I can't express the amount of times that I've had a new person that I'm training that we go out in the field together, and we go out in the field, and it's obvious that they've been out there for 6 hours, right? By the end of the day, they carry all the no's. When you look at their face, their face is just filled with no. They have all this stress and this burden of being told no 100 times. So it's really easy for someone to lose their attitude, right? And then as soon as someone loses their attitude, they immediately lost. Like everything from that point forward is a wrap, right? So it's easy to have a positive attitude, but to maintain it in the face of adversity, right? That's really, really important, to be able to not carry the no's, is what you would say. So a lot of people would say, you know, no means next. So if a customer will say no, that just means move on to the next one. So carrying the no is really difficult for someone to learn in the beginning. People think that they want to convince somebody to buy something. But in reality, you're just really looking for the people who already want to buy. And that's where your effort should be, especially in the beginning. Number 6, respect the client and customer. So like a win-win-win situation. So if there's any situation where I benefit and the client benefits, but the customer doesn't benefit, that's a bad deal, right? So if I'm representing a third party, right? In which case I'm representing a Fortune 50 client. So I want to make sure that every deal I make respects the client and the customer. So everybody is benefiting. So that's, you know, goes into like integrity issues and things like that. They're very, very important, because once a salesperson becomes really good, there's a lot of gray area, right? Where they can, oh, I don't have to explain an activation fee, or there's, you know, termination fee, and people will tend to not want to discuss those difficult situations. But the reality is that customers don't mind negatives. What they really mind are surprises, right? People don't mind negatives. They really don't like surprises. So if I don't explain something and it comes back on them later, they're going to be much more angry than if I explain it to them up front. So really important. Number 7 is take control. So what this means is I'm the one guiding the ship, right? So if I'm walking to somebody's business and I want them to buy something, I have to be the one guiding. I'm the boat captain with the big old steering wheel in my hands, you know. I'm the one guiding the ship, and they're following in my ship. So it doesn't mean that I'm like rude or aggressive or however you might have it. It just means that I'm the one in control. Like I'm the one guiding the conversation. I'm guiding them to the close. I'm guiding them to sign up. So really, you have to be in control. If you're not in control, then people just won't follow you at all. And people, a lot of new people especially, will have a lot of words in their conversation, like words that will increase doubt, in the customer's mind, like, could you do this? Would you do this, right? A lot of things that will make the customer have doubt in your topic and in your control. So it really, one of the first things that a new person always has to work on is what we call doubt words. Words like could, should, would, like that. You want to just remove them from your conversation completely. Really key point. And the last one for the 8 great work habits is understand your opportunity. And so this is like a twofold one. So number one, what it correlates to is not prejudging, right? I walk into a business or talk with a client on the phone, and I don't know what that customer's needs, wants, desires. I don't know if I can help them or not, right? I might think one of the best examples that I could ever come up with is, like, I always thought about this example of, there's this granny. She's probably like 60, 70, 80 years old, and she's like, her nephew was overseas at war in Iraq or somewhere in the Middle East, and he loved to play WoW. He loved this World of Warcraft game, right? And so the granny started playing World of Warcraft as a way to connect with the nephew. She wanted to have a connection with him, or grandson and nephew. And anyway, the point was that she ended up like spending more hours playing the game and like being more involved at a higher level than he was. So if you were selling a World of Warcraft product to a granny, your immediate reaction would be like, oh, she doesn't want to buy WoW stuff, right? But actually, she is the target market. So you have to understand that it's never important. You can never judge a book by its cover in sales. You just don't know. You just don't know. And then the second part of that is understanding the bigger picture, right? So for example, in my case, I was going out and doing sales every day, but my goal wasn't just to do sales, right? At that time, my goal was to open up an office filled with salespeople and I wanted to have a whole organization of these offices across the country. So every day I was going out in the field, when a customer told me no or I had a bad experience, it didn't even, my big picture, the vision of my goal was so powerful and so strong in the front of my mind that any small thing didn't even touch my armor. Any no, any rejection, like the goal that I was working towards was so clear, so big in my mind that I understood my opportunity and I understood that I have to do these daily tasks and they match up to my bigger picture goal. So it was just the natural progression to get there. So really, this is a really important thing. I think probably the most important for if you're doing people development, like working with people and developing them, is helping them identify what their big picture is and what they're working towards. Because once they can align what I'm doing at work every day and how that aligns with my big picture, and I have a clear line from day-to-day activity to the bigger goal, you see a huge transformation in people. They suddenly start to show up on time. They suddenly start preparing. They dress better, right? Once they understand their opportunity, their whole perspective changes and their whole way they approach their work changes. So it's really one of the most critical things when working with people. Anyway, so those are the 4s, the 5s, and 8s. So this is really the basic structure and system that anybody could use to sell something. It's so easy and so simple and straightforward. Really, anyone can do it.
Excellent.
Yeah, man. I'm happy to present it to you. And do you have any kind of like, well, how does this piece fit in, or how can I apply this thing in my own person? Do you have anything like that comes up?
Yeah, plenty of thinking going on in my head. I'm just going to take all of this and pretty much apply it to exactly what I'm doing for my product launch. It's good that I can kind of make sense of this in a different way than what I've read elsewhere too, which is really cool. So no, I have no questions. It all makes perfect sense to me. Perfect sense. So yeah, I'm just going to study.
Yeah.
Probably going to transcribing it and making it into like a broken down format. But I really like the way you drew out the lines too. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's super straightforward, and the thing is, it's one of those kind of ideas that's really simple, but the application is where it really boils down, right? So there's 17 things, 4, 5, and 8, right? So I have a new person, I'm training them, and they go out into the field, and let's say they see 50 customers and they don't close a deal. So they come back and we're wrapping up their day, and I'm talking with them. I'm like, hey man, you didn't get any sales today. What's going on? You know, or you're just learning. So I would break down what part of the system they weren't doing well. You see the difference there? So a lot of times when people are coaching or talking, well, I felt like you weren't really good there, or it feels very personal when somebody would give feedback. But when you can have a system, you're like, hey man, well, you went to those 50 offices. Did you have any paperwork prepared when you walked in there? Like, no, man, I didn't. I was like, well, you weren't prepared. So what did you expect? You weren't following the system. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I gotta be prepared tomorrow. I'll do a better job. Or you come back from the field of the person. Hey, everyone keeps a tracking sheet. So I can look at their tracking sheet and I can see, the progress of their day, because they have to write down every business they see and business owner. And I'm like, hey man, well, it looks like around the 17th business, you started getting real sloppy with your handwriting. You think you might have lost your attitude at that point? They're like, yeah, man, the 17th guy yelled at me, and I got real shooken by it, and it just ruined my whole day. All right, cool. So at least we know what we need to work on. So you see the difference, and you have a system that you can relate back to constantly. It really makes it very powerful, because the person can easily say, I just wasn't doing this one thing. I just have to do that one thing, and I can change that, and I can get better. And over time, they start getting great results, and then they want to do more. It's like a drug, right? You get some success, like, man, I want more of this success. This is fantastic. So that's kind of how it boils down when relating to training people.
Yep, I agree. Excellent. Yeah, I really like this. So yeah, I guess when I want to get a VA trained, though, specifically on like supplier recruiting, for instance, I'll probably just try to break down and because they're doing it mostly over the phone, so there's no eye contact, but you can still tell a smile and enthusiasm.
Sure.
Building rapport, obviously, just asking them about themselves, kind of telling a little bit about yourself, blah, blah, reduce skepticism, kind of just like building trust and getting them to like you a little bit just by showing them that you like them. Yeah, I really like the sizzling the deal and painting a clear picture. Would you recommend like any particular books that you read that you like that do a really good example of painting pictures and stuff like that? I really want to get more into that, like understanding how to tell stories is really good.
Yeah, the best thing that I can, really the best way, I look at everything very simply, right? Like, definitely books are good for sure. You get a whole broad span of, like a whole broad stroke of knowledge about one topic. I can boil it down in kind of the way I look at it into like 1 or 2 sentences, right? So the way that I kind of view it is like when you have someone staging a house, right? Like someone selling a house, right. And then the person who's selling it, what were they called? Real estate agent. Yeah, they're always asking you, so where are you going to put your couch? Where are you going to put your bed? Where are you going to put your stuff? All they're trying to do is to get that person to place themselves in that place, right? So they're putting that person in that place and asking you, well, where are you going to put your bed? Where are you going to put your couch? And that person, in order to even to answer that question, you have to agree that you're going to buy it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right?
Yeah,
so sizzling the deal a lot is just putting that person in the place that you want them to be. And there's a whole step, like in between presentation and close, there's like closing signs, right? The customer's going to give you closing signs that are going to know this person's closed. Like, here's a good example, right? Future talk. So I'm working with a customer, and I'm working with them. I'm having a conversation with them. We're talking about this product or service. And they ask me like, okay, so when I get this internet installed, how are they going to come out and do it? So the person hasn't told me they're closed, right? They haven't said, oh, I want it, but they just use future talk. They talked about when this happens, how's it going to work? So in my mind, bing, the person's closed, or it's great. They're already above this buy line. Just go ahead and assume the sale and start doing paperwork. So there's like 4 or 5 different signs you'll get from the customer that will let you know, oh, this person's closed, you know? So you're not just shooting in the dark, like just walking away randomly. And then after you do it a lot, it becomes like a sixth sense. You just know when someone's closed or not. You can just recognize, oh, this person's closed, this person's not closed. They need more conversation, they need more explanation, they have more objections, and you just get a sense for it. But really, the closing signs are some of the biggest stuff to know when that person's closed or not.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a roundabout way to answer your question, but I hope it did justice.
No, it makes perfect sense. Yeah, so I'm also thinking, obviously, taking this stuff and putting it into sales videos for my course and my high ticket funnel and things like that. And so, yeah, as far as like writing out bullet points, I probably just approach like, let's see, the building rapport part with stories that are related to what I've done and what my successful clients have done. Sizzling the deal. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, I already kind of do this with the podcast naturally, so that's an easy part.
Let's give an example. I'll give an example because I want to get away from that a little bit. So let's just role play. Let's say I'm going to sell you a tiger. Let's just say I'm going to sell you a tiger. So I'm going to be the salesperson and you be you. Okay. So let's just role play it out. You ready?
All right.
So hey, Trevor, how you doing, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Man, I can't complain. Life's great. It's super sunny out here, and it's beautiful, beautiful weather. You recently you're traveling, right? You've kind of been around a little bit.
Yeah, traveling a lot lately. It's been a little bit hectic.
That's cool. That's cool. Have you been able to kind of like your business together? I mean, do you have like a nice place to be now, or are you kind of still bouncing everywhere?
Yeah. I think finally settled down a little bit. Got a nice place now, so.
That's good. No, I hear you. I know how it is. It's like sometimes you're bouncing everywhere, your mind's racing, and you finally get a place to sit down, and you're just like, all right, cool. Like, what do I have to organize? Like, then you have to try and do all your stuff, at that point, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I get it. I'm right there with you. That's cool. So, I don't know if you know, but Kim Jong-un, right, the leader of North Korea, he is a big dealer in international kind of like rare exotic animals, right? So I got this tiger, man, like a legit like baby tiger. You hear about that?
Oh man, that's awesome. I love cats.
You have a cat now? You have a cat now?
No, my cat's back at my mom's house, but it's a real small cat. A baby tiger sounds pretty cute though.
Dude, it's insane. It eats from a bottle. Like you feel like a baby. It's the craziest thing ever. Like it's blown my mind. I take it outside. I take it out for a walk. And everyone looks at me. They're like, this guy is on fleek. They're like blown away. You have no idea. Everyone just stares at me like they take pictures like on Instagram. It's nuts. It's just super crazy. It's mind blowing. Anyway, so here's the thing. Like I've had it for a while. I got the pleasure, the enjoyment from having the tiger, right? But I just can't keep it. Like my landlord is giving me a hard time. I just, I can't keep it here, unfortunately. So, I'm trying to like sell it, right? But look, I bought it for like 20 grand. Like 20 grand, I bought the tiger. It was a great investment. So look, I'm just trying to get like $2 grand for it. So you think maybe like there's something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, that's not too much, and I think a tiger would be pretty awesome.
Hell yeah, man! Like I'm telling you, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. This tiger is nuts. Its name is I call it Jabberwocky, but you can call it whatever you want. You can make up your own name for him. That's cool. He's a tiger, so he doesn't really care. You feed him. He really eats anything. Surprisingly, lettuce, vegetables, rabbits, mice, whatever. It doesn't matter. And he's really easy to take care of. So cool. All right. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get him shipped out to you tomorrow. All right. So just go ahead and send me your address. I'm gonna get everything prepared. And then he'll be sent out, and I'll even like give in like a 2 weeks supply of food. right? So you're not worried about, oh my God, I have this tiger, I gotta feed him. And it also has like a cage. So, it's like the whole setup. You don't have to worry about nothing. Okay, so just go ahead and give me your address, and I'll send it out to you tomorrow. All right, cool.
That's cool, but I don't really have a place I can put a tiger right now. So maybe it'll take a little bit longer. I don't know, but I'm not sure.
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you, man. The landlord is pushing me. He's pushing me to get it out. I have to get rid of it today. You don't have a lot of space. You know what I can do? I'll go ahead and send with him. I'll go ahead and send like a little playpen. So you can keep him outside, or you can even keep him in a public area if you want, and he'll be cool. So you don't really have to worry about that. So let's go ahead and get that sent out for you tomorrow, and then just go ahead and send over your address, all right?
Okay, sounds good. We'll figure it out, I guess. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, man, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. You think of a new name, take pictures. Look, it's gonna be. You're gonna be the coolest kid in the block. I'm telling you. Thank you.
This sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Mike Tyson, man.
I'm gonna be Mike Tyson all of a sudden. I gotta.
Oh man, yo, I don't know. Tiger sounds crazy. I think a kitten, I think would be alright. Tiger, as it gets older. Holy shit.
Yeah, well, that would set me apart in the internet marketing world. That's for sure. I'll just take pictures of my tiger all day.
Tiger.
I'll be working on my computer, tiger right next to me, petting the tiger and shit. It's chilling.
That's for sure. No one messes with the ball on the street.
Yeah, no one's gonna fuck with me. I'll just take my tiger everywhere. Everybody's gonna be like, "What the hell?" Yeah, best bodyguard ever.
Just like those pictures.
That was really good.
Everything felt like your body, but what the?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so that's just an example, right? So you see how introduction. So, and the reason I went through all that anyway, the reason I went through that was because I just wanted to paint an idea that the short story portion doesn't have to be related at all to the close, right? So I didn't talk to you necessarily about tigers in the beginning. I was just like, hey man, how you doing? Like, oh, you're traveling around, you're doing this, like you're getting settled. That was the short story. So I'm just trying to like kind of build a connection. Like, hey, what are you up to right now? Like, what's going on in your life, And then I'm gonna find a place to bridge that to the presentation.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. It's just so funny because I naturally do that every day in every other conversation I have anyway. So it's gonna be a good way. I just need to bridge the gap from that into a sales presentation. So now that I have a clear understanding of it, I think it'll be a lot easier to actually make it happen because I can actually kind of conceptualize it in my mind as I'm doing it.
Exactly. It gives you like some steps, like, okay, step 1 done, step 2 done, step 3, it gives you like a clear like ladder rather than just like, it gets a little bit, some days you're in a bad mood, sometimes you're in a good mood, right? But if you don't have a system, it's just based on like on your feeling that day sometimes. But if you have a system, you just follow the steps, it doesn't really matter about your day, like how you're doing that day. You're just following a structure. It makes it a bit easier.
Yep, I agree. Awesome. Now, okay, so I should probably like write down all the different stories that I can tell and stuff like that. I mean, because, okay, so for you, like, does this system look like you have like a lot of different things like written down you can kind of pull from, or are you just kind of like going off the top of your head when you do stuff like this? Is it?
Like, literally, I only have this.
Okay, cool.
Really, I don't follow anything
like
else.
Improv.
Like it's
basically just what it is and you just like make it happen because you've done it before many times. So it's like
right. But really, the main thing is I know what step I'm on, right? So if I'm on the introduction, I'm just focused on breaking the ice. And then I know I can recognize from the customer, okay, we're past the introduction step. Okay, now on the short story step. Okay, so what's the purpose of the short story step? Build rapport and introduce the system. All right, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to build rapport and the customer is a little more comfortable. We have some kind of like rapport. All right, cool. Short story step, check. All right, now I'm going to presentation. Okay, now I'm talking about the product. Now I'm sizzling the deal. I'm painting for a picture. I'm just presenting. Okay, cool. I noticed the customers, they're giving me some closing signs. They offer me some food, some water. They're silent or they future talk, and there's these different signs that they give me. Okay, cool. I know the person's closed. Cool. I'm going right for the sale. I'm closing the deal.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, those are important. So yeah, like, so when people are quiet, that's a closing sign. Because they're thinking about it, right? They're like, this could be real. This is an important thing to me, and I believe, and they're like thinking about actually doing it. That's a really strong closing sign for sure, right?
Right. It's somewhat. Let me put it into perspective as well, or in context rather. So like sometimes I mentioned like at the close, I might turn around and walk away. Let's say there's some cases where I can't turn around and walk away because like we're sitting at a table together. Right? I can't just stand up and walk out the door like it's strange. So what I can do, so I'll give an example. So I'll give you a kind of a model presentation or mock presentation. So if you're viewing your account, I notice that you're in the older package. We're going to go ahead and move you to the new package. It's going to include Wi-Fi for your business, and it's going to do the other benefits for you. So I'm going to go ahead and get it taken care of for you right now. Just go ahead and hang tight, and I'll let you know when I'm finished. And then silence. Okay. He's sitting there, I'm sitting here, and it feels awkward, right? So it's just silent. So in that moment, the first person to talk loses. Right. So you just live in that awkwardness. You don't speak again, because think about it from like a confidence perspective, right? Like I said what I need to say. I told you I'm going to go ahead and take care of it for you. I'm just going to start doing it. I'm not really waiting for your approval, right? I'm not really waiting. But if I'm talking again, it really comes across as not being confident, right? So it's the silent close. I just go ahead and start doing it. I don't say anything. So after I do my presentation, and let's say sometimes you can talk to a person for an hour and they haven't given you a closing sign, right? So you don't know if it's closed or not, but you gotta wrap up this deal. So you just go for the close. Boom, 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 just go for it. And then if they're silent, you're silent, just say nothing and wait for them to respond. If they have an objection, they're going to tell you, oh, well, what about this? What about that? So that's a silent close. So you're right on the same, right, in the idea. And then future talk is very popular, right? They're going to say something about like when I have this done, or something about talking about the future in which they already have done this thing, right? So that's one. Hospitality is a big one. They're going to offer you like some, especially if you're there in person, they'll offer you like some food or some water. That's like a really big closing sign, right? They're open. They're there to work with you. Just a straightforward yes, you know. Like, all right, good. So those are really the four, closing signs. Body language is always a key, but if you really have too much body language over the phone, I mean, for the sales reps, the one thing that I'd really use is like a yes close, right? So I mean, this is just this is like this close almost works better on the phone than it does in person, because in person there's a lot of like, you have a lot more incoming data. You can see the person's body. There's a lot like more incoming information. But on the phone, you don't have so much. This yes close, it really works really good on the phone, especially with brand new people. You just, my favorite line is like, would you like to pay with a Visa or MasterCard? Right. So that I would use that as like if you're teaching any of your new VAs like how to go into the close, right? Like how to jump from the presentation to the close. I would just go into like, okay, would you like to pay with a Visa or MasterCard today? Right, so it's a yes or yes, So the people, it really is effective. That was how Kevin's VA got their first sale after I trained them.
Yeah, that's definitely something that works really well. I mean, if people are ready to buy, then they want you to be professional about it. So, for sure. So, okay, cool, beautiful. All right, cool. Yeah, I got tons of value out of this. I think I'm going to go ahead and just study it again, and then use it to write some scripts for my launch that I'm doing right now. So.
Hell yeah, brother. Yo, we have a few pending things as well. What about you mentioned, I wanted to ask you about Deluxe Home Store, right? I wanted to ask you